you don't have a copy, there's some extra ones over there by Jesus. Please go ahead and grab one. Again, my name is Drysdale, and I represent the Healthy Reefs for Healthy People initiative. We are a bunch of people. We're about 69 partner organizations. Sorry, what's going on? No, you gotta do it that way. No, that way. Yeah, sorry. We're 69 partner organizations in 4 countries. We bring together Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, and Honduras under the same scope of how we want to protect this shared resource. Fish and coral larvae don't know borders. They don't know where Honduras ends and Guatemala begins. So we all have to work together. In this, the second largest barrier reef in the world. Our Mexican friends say that the reef begins in Mexico and ends in Honduras. We in Honduras know better. It starts in Honduras and it ends in Mexico. Part of the time. And other times the Mexicans are right. It all depends on the currents. Currents come from the north when we're in the rainy season, and currents come from the east when we're in the rest of the year. So it's all connected. It's all interchanged. What happens in Honduras will affect Mexico, Belize, and Guatemala. What happens in Mexico will, one way, affect the other countries. So what do? Well, this is our conceptual diagram. Now let me go. We're going to do it step by step. Monitoring and database. What Giselle was talking about, AGRA, which is the Atlantic and Gulf Rapid Reef Assessment. Chrissy and Brian have been on our boats. They know all the ridiculous amount of gear we take underwater. Some of us count fish, some of us count corals. Some of us, like Jenny, measure every little algae that they find in a 25 square centimeter quadrant. It's great work. I'm a fish kind of guy. You're not going to get me measuring algae. But to each his own, right? She loves it. With this, we publish report cards. Because the reef monitoring will give us an idea of how the reef is healthy or not. And in our report cards, we provide a series of recommendations. It's not recommendations that Ian comes up with. It's recommendations that all 69 partners come up with together, saying, this is what we need to do to improve the reef, the health of our reef. And then what we do is we have eco-audits. We want to measure how these recommendations are being implemented. If you say, Mr. Mexico, you're doing this, prove it. Show me the data. And then we'll give you the points from 1 to 5. You'll see, we'll go on to that later on. Because we know that as the recommendations are implemented, we're going to report this in the report cards. And as these recommendations are implemented, we should see healthier reefs where management actions are being implemented. So everything comes together in a circle, sort of. I didn't really come out as a circle. You get the point, right? And what we want to do with our eco-audit is we want to create healthy competition between countries. Mr. Mexico, you protected parrotfish. Okay, come on, Honduras, Guatemala, Belize, get your act together and catch up with them, and so on and so forth. Why? Because we want to see at the end improved reef health. We want to see healthier reefs through our monitoring, through our report cards, and through the implementation of the recommendations which we measure in our eco-audits. Again, we bring together 69 partner organizations. We have trained 181 people. Please raise your hand if you've been trained in AGRA. Not yet. You guys are already on the list, okay? You're not getting one. Yeah, definitely. We have 12 certified AGRA instructors in the 4 countries, and we have more than 250 database users. We are celebrating 10 years of data, guys, a decade. I've been with this organization 9 years now. I was hired right after the first report card was published in 2008. And we try to do it every 2 years, give or take. So 2008, 2010, 2012, then we skipped to 2015, and now we have it 2018, which you guys have in your hands. It's fresh off the press. We published this January 10th of this year. So it's very, very fresh. What is a healthy reef? That was a question they asked my boss many years ago, and she came up with 59 indicators. If you have ever done any kind of monitoring underwater, it's impossible to gather 59 indicators. You would need 6 or 8 dives in one site with probably a team of 10 people. So we narrowed it down to 4 main indicators. Live coral cover, we want to see this. Fleshy macroalgae cover, we don't want to see that. That's why the arrow is down. And then we want to see how the fish are doing, how the fish biomass. So we have 2 main indicators. Commercially important fish, such as snappers and groupers, and herbivorous fish that are important in herbivory, like parrotfish and sturgeon fish. Yes. Just like when you get your blood test. You want to see how your cholesterol is doing, whether it's good or bad. We met with a bunch of scientists around the world to find out what a very good coral cover reef is. So they came up with these threshold values. So a reef that is in critical condition will have less than 5% live coral cover per square meter. A reef that is in very good health will have 40% or more live coral cover per square meter. And so on and so forth for the 4 indicators. If you want more information on this, please visit our website. There's a lot of detailed information there. We have a bunch of sites. We have 319 sites that we monitored in 2016, which is the data you guys are holding in the 2018 report cards. All 4 countries gathered this same information at the same time, usually between spring and summer. So this year we're going to be doing it again. So those of you that want to join us, please let me know. We will train you. We're going to use you as slave labor. We will make you sweat, blood, and tears, because we need this information. This is very important to know how our reef is doing. And we drink lots of tequila. At the end of the day, when you've already passed your data into the computer. Okay, not before, because if not, I never get the data. So we want to keep it simple, because we talk to decision makers, such as politicians. Red is bad, green is good. Keep it simple. So at a glance, we can see that the west side of Roatan is all in green. And as our friend here is going to be doing the patrolling, and as we're going to be enforcing more of the regulations on the east side, we want to see the rest of the east side of Roatan become green. So it's very simple to see at a glance what's happening. Integrated, it's in Spanish. Índice de Salud Arrecifal. Integrated Reef Health Index. From 1 to 5, we want to see how healthy the reef is. This is combining all 4 indicators in all the sites per country. Mexico and Belize have a 2.8 as a reef health index. Guatemala has a 2.0. They have very small reefs, and they get a lot of fishing pressure from Belize, from Guatemala, and from Honduras. So they're not doing that well. Honduras, we're celebrating. We have the highest score this year. And it's not the first time. So it shows that things are being done right in our area. Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain why the end used to be in orange and red, and now
Yes.
it's in
Yes.
why?
Thank you. What would I do without her? Back in the report card of 2008, this area on the west side of Roatan was either red or orange or yellow. As the patrolling started, what increased was herbivorous fish and commercial fish. We didn't say no to fishing. We said, do fishing right. No nets, no pots, no spears, line fishing. Anybody can line fish wherever they want in the Bay Islands, whether you're a foreigner or a local. You do it. But you cannot do it with illegal fishing gear, such as nets, pots, or fish traps. And that changed. We have seen the progression on the west side of Roatan because of the patrols. But just patrolling is not enough. What Vika was saying, environmental education. We can't just go and slap the wrists of the fishermen. We have to educate the fishermen and say, these are the regulations, dude. This is what you can and cannot do. And that has helped. And now we can see the fruits of our labor, where the west side of Roatan is in green condition. And how has it changed over the years? This is all the 4 countries all together. In 2006, we had a 2.3. It went up to a 2.5, a at 2.8, and now we're still at 2.8. But as you can see, these three indicators used to be in orange in '06. Now it's only two indicators in orange in 2011. Now it's just one in 2014 and 2016. And what has changed for 2016 is the macroalgae cover, the bad algae, the ones we don't want to see on the reef. We still have too many nutrients going into our marine waters. Nutrients from poo, sewage, and also agricultural runoff from the north coast and from the coast of the other countries. How has coral cover changed? This is, the dark blue is 2006 data, and the light blue is 2016 data. As you can see, for coral cover, Honduras started off pretty well in '06 and has increased. All four countries have increased in coral cover, which is a good reason to celebrate. Commercial fish biomass, not so good. We're too good at fishing. We're too good at removing groupers and snappers from our reefs. These are very important predator fish. Top of the chain, top of the food chain. We need to keep them in the reef. So, if you see this graph, this shows you that what you need to focus your efforts and your money and your funds in is increasing commercial important fish biomass. Herbivorous fish, we tell a different story per country. We can see that in Honduras they have increased, and we still have the highest herbivorous fish biomass of the four countries. So something is being done right. It's a good thing that we're not fishing these fish. We're not consuming these, and let's keep it that way. And macroalgae, that's a sad story. That's the bad side. Macroalgae has increased in all four countries exponentially. We need more wastewater treatment plants. We need to make sure that the place where you're staying, the place where you're diving, the place where you're eating, is treating your sewage one way or another, so it's not going onto the reef. So now let's focus on Honduras. You all have been diving, right? You've seen the beauty of our reefs. You've seen the jewel that we have that we need to keep protecting. Reef Health Index for Honduras is a 3.0, as I said before. Herbivorous fish is in very good. Coral cover is in good. Commercial fish is in poor condition. But fleshy macroalgae, nationwide for Honduras, is critical. We need more wastewater treatment plants. And you're going to hear me say that a lot. At a glance, if you see this, we call it the Simon Says. Anybody remember Simon Says? That game, Simon? It's an awesome game. I just bought one in French Harbor. It was the electronic one. At a glance, you can see I've only got funds to invest in Trujillo, which is on the east coast of Honduras. Everything in red shows either fleshy macroalgae or commercial fish. There are some sites that have great herbivorous fish. I'm not going to invest my money in protecting herbivorous fish if they're in good shape. I'm going to invest my money and my funds and my energy in improving those sites that are either in critical, poor, or fair condition to see how we can improve them. For 81 sites in Honduras that we monitored in 2016, we monitor again this year in 2018. We want to bring this number up to 100 sites. So if you want to send me a check, greatly appreciated, because we need a lot of money to do this. No, please send your check to Roatan Marine Park Ordovica, and they'll send it to me. We have 6% of our reefs in critical condition, 28% are in poor condition, 46 are in fair, and only 20% in good. Do you see any very good in Honduras? No. There's still work to be done. We're doing well. We're reducing our critical sites. We're reducing our poor sites. Our fair sites are still too many. We need to bring these into the good sites. Coral cover is at 22% when it should be around 40 to be in very good. Fleshy macroalgae is too high at 27%. And very good herbivorous fish biomass, 4,474. So let's go here. Herbivorous fish, 4,000. Yeah, we're definitely very good. We're above. Very good. And commercial fish biomass, 675. Well, that's in poor. Okay? So we need to create more fish replenishment zones, because this is what the data shows across the years. Commercial fish has never really increased. And look at fleshy macroalgae going straight up. So, based on this graph, exam, where would you invest your money? Sewage and improving commercial fish.
Patrol.
Because this is what the island depends on. This is what the islanders depend on. And then they sell it to the tourists. And then, you know, the money just keeps going and multiplying. We need to invest in commercial fish, which is no-take zones.
And patrols.
Patrols, thank you very much. And in wastewater treatment plants. We have a great weapon, and it's called marine protected areas. 57% of the Mesoamerican Reef is in some kind of MPA, but we have too many paper parks. The east side of Roatan is no longer a paper park because you have petroleum. You have adequate management of this site. We don't need any more paper parks. We need to make sure that we also increase our replenishment zones. They used to be called no-take zones, but people don't like the word no. So replenishment zones, that's what we're calling them now. It's setting out an area of the reef where people don't fish, period. You can still dive, you can still snorkel, you can still, I don't know, kite surf over it, but there's no fishing. And fish don't know borders. Fish don't know where they're inside a replenishment zone or not. So if you protect sites that are important, like aggregation sites, these fish will come out and they will be fished outside. Out of 88,000 square meters surveyed, we only counted 69,000 fish. That's very little, guys. That is very little. Snappers, only 86% were mature, and for cubeta snappers, we found 0% mature fish. Okay? The bigger fish are in bigger danger. And the data shows it. In areas there are no fishing zones, the fish biomass is much higher. So it does work. Fish replenishment zones actually do work. You can see the data. They help rebuild fish populations. These are examples for Mexico, Belize, and Guatemala. And increasing the area under complete protection will increase the amount of fish and allow reefs to be healthier. But on top of that, we have the pink elephant in the room that nobody wants to address, climate change. We have seen an increase in the percentage of reefs that have suffered bleaching since 2015. It is increasing. We had a huge bleaching event this past year, but reefs are coming back. Thank goodness we had storms that came in and cooled down the water. But still, that number is way too high. We need to reduce our carbon footprint. We need to reduce our dependency on fossil fuels. We need to reduce our production of single-use plastics. Pollution, unregulated coastal development, unsustainable fishing, poor watershed management, and inadequate sewage and waste control. If you don't have a proper septic system, this pollution leaches into the groundwater and then reaches the reef, one way or another. And then guess in what kind of water quality you're swimming, or diving, or gurgling water. Yeah, keep your snorkel in your mouth at all times. We need to control fisheries. It's not about saying no to fishing. It's about let's do fishing the right way, and let's create more fish replenishment zones, because the fish will come out of that area and will get fished by the fishermen. And we need to increase coral cover. Mr. Jesus can tell you guys about how they are working towards replanting corals in areas that have been affected either by bleaching or by boat groundings or by anchor damage or hurricanes or dumbass tourists that step on the reef. This is a hands-on way of improving coral cover. Corals are plants and animals. Please don't touch. Please get trained before you say, oh, I'm going to take this broken coral and put it over here. Get trained. It's not that complicated, and you can make a big difference in certain areas. Our partners in Belize have an amazing example of what they have done in that area. It's called Fragments of Hope. Please look it up online. It's very interesting. I'm almost done, guys. Stay with me. We need to restore herbivory. We definitely need bigger parrotfish. Bigger parrotfish eat more algae, and they poop more sand. Why is the white sand so beautiful in the Bay Islands? It's fish poop. One mature stoplight parrotfish poops a ton of sand in a year. A ton of sand in 1 year. So when you're throwing sand at your loved one on the beach, think about that. Parrotfish poop. But it's a sign of love, right? We need to increase king crab. Science has shown us that king crab is an amazing herbivore. They will pick at certain algae with their huge claws and eat that. Have you ever seen a king crab eat? It's fascinating. It looks like an alien. If you get really up close, you see his mouth and face. But they're amazing because they're really good at getting rid of algae. So we need to have more king crab on the reef, not on our plate. So you guys, what are you going to order at your next restaurant outing? Lionfish. Thank you. Lionfish. No grouper. No snapper. No king crab. Lionfish. And tilapia. Please, eat all the tilapia. I'm kidding. Don't eat tilapia. Spiny urchins. Diadema. Diademas are amazing herbivores. They are like the little hoovers. Aspiradoras?
Vacuum cleaners.
Vacuum cleaners. They're amazing vacuum cleaners on the reef. They will vacuum a site. For example, we discovered for science back in 2011, an amazing site in Tela. Tela's on the north coast of Honduras. If you get to La Ceiba, you drive 1 hour or 100 kilometers west, and you'll get there. When Jenny went diving first, I heard her screaming. I was like, oh crap, what happened? Is she in trouble? So I swim down, and she's like, look at the live coral cover. And I can understand her. She can talk to a reindeer. I can't, and I will always say I don't understand. But this time I did. It's finally the only moment when I'm just peace and quiet. I could finally understand her. She's like, look at the live coral cover. It was ridiculous. There's places with 90% live coral cover in Tela. And it's all because of these little critters. We found the highest numbers of diadema urchins in Tela that we have seen in the entire Mesoamerican Reef. So they are amazing at what they do. And our friends in Hawaii have a huge problem with a certain algae that's an invasive species. And they're vacuuming it. They actually have a vacuum on a boat. Divers go down with a hose, and you have people clipping the algae off, sucking it off to a boat. It goes onto a sieve where you separate the live critters and put them back in the ocean, and then you compost this algae. We're going to have to do that in certain sites in Honduras now. We're waiting for some funding. Our pilot project will be in Half Moon Bay in West End, because that is one site that has great water quality. But we still have a lot of algae, so we need to physically remove that algae and help the reef recover. Reduce pollution. Again, more wastewater treatment plant, guys. Find out where your poop is going. Find out where your money as a tourist is actually benefiting or hurting the reef. You have the power as consumers to find out where it's going. And we need to restore natural filtration. We need more mangroves, and we need more seagrass beds. They're free. They're free. We don't have to build, well, we do have to build wastewater treatment plants, but we don't have to build filters, such as mangroves and seagrass beds. And success stories. We need to celebrate what's happening, what's being done right. In Guanaja, the private sector said, yes, I want to protect my reef. There's a $10 voluntary tax when you land in Guanaja. $3 go to education, $3 go to, help me, honey?
Patrols.
Patrolling, and $3 go to something else. And that $1,
The fishermen organization.
Fishermen organization, thank you, who are saying we're going to manage our no-take zones. And that $1 extra that's left is for managing this fund. And it's working. Guanaja is a great example of how the private sector, through tourism dollars, can make a difference. And another example, which has a lot to do with the work my wife has done in Tela, is to create a rights-based access fishery in a lagoon. It's the first of its type in Honduras, where the communities, 13 communities came and said, we are sick and tired of seeing guys from other places come and fish our fish, and then we have nothing to eat. So they all got together, we came up with regulations, we came up with how we're going to do it, and now that area is only for them. They can kick out foreigners or people from other communities that don't have a fishing license that says Tela. And it's working because they said, this is my lagoon, these are my fish, my crabs, my snook that they have in there, right? We don't want others taking it. So we need to celebrate these amazing success stories. And again, guys, we don't do this alone. It takes 69 partners in the 4 countries, including the 4 ministries of environment, including the 4 ministries of protected areas, academia, universities, NGOs, and like-minded individuals to say, we can protect our reef. Thank you.